First win of the Bill Belichick era, and my, what a Belichickian win it was.
This is Kamori House, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. It's Saturday, September 6, 2025. We are post-game after Bill Belichick's first ever win in college. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making us your first listener watch after the game to get everything you need to know about it. Special shout out to all the everydayers here, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. Shouts to you guys, as well as our great insiders for Locked On. Glad to have you all. If you want to join any of those groups, man, the links are in the show notes. We'd absolutely love to have you. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner. No, it ain't anymore. It's here, baby. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. North Carolina gets the first win of the Bill Belichick era, 20-3 over Charlotte. Gio Lopez plays the whole game. We'll talk about that. 17 of 25 for 155 and a touchdown. Also had how much on the 9 for 44 on the ground. Chris Culver, 3 for 74 and a touchdown before leaving hurt. We'll talk about that. Whole bunch of running backs. Very Bill Belichickian again. Carolina holds Charlotte to just 3 points. I know it's just Charlotte, but it's just 3 points. We'll talk about that as well, and so much more coming up. But let's start by talking about the win, because for those who maybe didn't pay too much attention to the Patriots for all those years, maybe you don't know it, but this is how Bill Belichick W's go. I mean, there's no way to describe it for me other than Belichickian. Here's what you have to know. Bill Belichick cares more about winning than he does anything else, and he doesn't care if it's by 50 or 1. He's going to do everything he can to make sure that the win is what is secured. And so sometimes that means being flashy and glitzy. And sometimes that means, oh, we're just going to grind this out because you can't do anything. And that's what tonight was. If your opponent can't do anything and you have a multi-score lead, which Carolina did, your opponent is not the other team. Your opponent at that point is the clock. And that's what Carolina did tonight. They were very content to play field position, to recognize, look, Connor Harrell, man, nice, had some nice moments, but they as a team can't do anything. So we're very content to run the clock. We're very content to just let the defense keep doing what they need to do. And until Charlotte gets closer within a score, we're just going to keep grinding. And that's what Carolina did. So welcome to the Bill Belichick era. That's the type of thing you're going to see, right? Like, go back and watch Patriots games. That's what they do. And in this game, the defense was doing enough where the offense just really didn't have to do too much. You just keep handing it off inside, outside, whatever it is. Per Greg Barnes from Inside Carolina, it was the fewest points that the Tar Heels have allowed against an FBS opponent since beating Clemson 38-3 at Clemson on October 20th, 2001. My, how the times have changed, by the way. Crazy stuff there. Great job by the defense. You had Greg Smith with that near pick six just before the 2-minute warning. Maybe one more block springs him when he goes. And then obviously another interception just before, like on the Hail Mary to end the game. But really nice bend and don't break by the Tar Heels. We continue to see what Thad Dixon can do. That dude is crazy. Kamori House almost had like a weird pick six early in the game. Couldn't quite come up with it. Where Charlotte had a weird exchange, and that was really interesting stuff there. Here's the other thing you need to remember about tonight. Carolina played late on Monday, and then it's just a short week after that until a true road game, the first true road game of Bill Belichick's career. And so when you want to say like, oh man, so what do we take away from this? What do we learn? I don't know how much there is you're able to learn, because of the short turnaround, because it's Charlotte, which again, they're an FBS opponent. But, American conference, it's not a Power 4 school. And so you just had an opportunity, with all due respect to Charlotte, to say, let's work on some things. Let's figure out some personnel. Let's try guys and see what's going to happen. And that's what they did. So again, we said this last week after TCU. There's really not a ton more you're going to learn at a big picture level until you go down to Orlando and play UCF in a couple weeks. And then when you host Clemson 2 weeks later after an off week. However, there were a couple things we certainly can take away. One of which is, if Gio Lopez is healthy, is he going to be QB1, or is Max Johnson, who looked really nice at the end there, going to take over for him? Max Johnson didn't touch the field on Saturday night. Gio Lopez not only started, but played the entirety of this game all the way down to the bitter end. Even when Connor Harrell wasn't in the game anymore, Charlotte went with Grayson Loftus, who had been at Duke the past several years. And Gio showed no signs of that back injury suffered against TCU on Monday. And that's another factor of the short turnaround, is he doesn't have a whole lot of time to get healed up before this. I loved the leadership we saw from Gio Lopez, right? Like smacking dudes on the head after that field goal on the second drive. He was right out, congratulating everybody, thanking linemen for stuff. When special teams things are happening well, he's out on the field. Like, I love that kind of leadership, man. That's what you need from QB1. And he's doing it. He's stepping up. One of the things I thought we saw from Gio that we didn't see quite as much on Monday night was him utilize his legs to help out. There weren't really too many times where I was like, oh, stay in, right? Like maybe one specific moment I can think of. Maybe there was a second where he got a little happy and left the pocket before I think he really needed to. But even in that, it was a positive gain and close to a first down. But I can recall at least 3 times, and because of the quick turnaround for the live postcast, I haven't had time to go back and look at all of it. But I remember at least 3 times when Gio used his legs to pick up a first down. And that's the kind of stuff you have, that harkens back to Drake May. That harkens back to Sam Howell and what they were able to do. He's not the same specific type of player. He's not Drake. He's not Sam. But that's part of what he's able to do. That's an element of his game, and showed a willingness to step in, take some hits, and all of that. And so that leg element, I thought he showed more than we saw on Monday night. Perhaps my favorite thing that happened, though, and again, this is part of the Bill Belichick fundamentals and details that we've been talking about. One of the best ways to not let your opponent score is to not give them the ball. Let's remember back to Monday night. Carolina turned it over 3 times, 2 of which were live ball turnovers that resulted in 6 points. One a pick six and one a scoop and score. In this game, the North Carolina Tar Heels, the Bill Belichick North Carolina Tar Heels, 0 turnovers in this game. And that is the way you play winning football. It is those little things that add up to be big wins. And it's not just about not turning the ball over, although that is a big part of it, right? That is a critical key. You turn the ball over 3 times, 2 of which are immediate scores versus 0 times and no chances at it. Man, when you're able to control the ball like that, I haven't pulled up. What did the time of possession end up being? Because at halftime, Charlotte actually had it longer. Yeah, by the end of the game, Charlotte won the time of possession. Barely. They had it for 30 minutes, 22 seconds. Carolina 29-38. So that's really interesting there. But Carolina literally never turned the ball over, and that's what you need to do to be a successful team. Teams that don't beat themselves win football games, and that is the mark of a Bill Belichick team. I want to talk about the hilarity of Carolina once again getting off to a quick strike first drive, and then a couple drives later, like, what are we doing with our play calling there? And so we'll talk about that, so much more, all the running backs getting in on the game, another Belichickian trait, Charlotte's missed opportunities, Chris Culliver injury, we'll talk about that, several things. We got to get to your comments. I know there's a bunch of questions over there. We want to make sure to hit all of that as well. We'll do that all coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about DoorDash, the weekend is here, you guys, and it's time to look back on what happened just an hour or so ago and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. this player, this group delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Tar Heels, I thought the defense delivered in a big way. We said it just a second ago, but the fewest points allowed to an FBS opponent since 2001. When the pressure was on, the defense came through, no hesitation, no delay. And just like the D delivered for Carolina, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season long, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credit. Order this Saturday, order next Saturday, and every Saturday. Keep that streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. The promo period runs through November 18th. All right, I am pulling up the box score for those of you who want to watch. Look at that as you follow along. For those of you listening back later, what's up? We're glad you're here as well. If you want to find the box score, you can go check it out. I will tweet out that on the Locked On Tar Heels Twitter feed where you can find it. Okay, if you thought Carolina had a quick strike to start the season, Gio Lopez said, nah, check this bad boy out. 3-score strike to begin this game. Crazy, crazy stuff there. Let's go back and look at those plays to get the game rolling. Right out of the gate, nice pass to Ben Hall out in the flat there and get Carolina up. Interestingly enough, J.Q. Conley got the tackle to start the game there. We'll laugh at that. And then another 13-yard pass to another running back, Caleb Hood. And then the bomb to Chris Culliver. Gio Lopez unleashed this. And it's just one of those where you're like, whoever's on the receiving end of this must have burned his defensive back or the cornerback, whoever it was, because good grief, going for that bomb on the third play of the game, you must see something that you really like. And true enough, Chris Culliver hauls it in. He had a couple steps, and man, what a start to this game it was for the Tar Heels. And then just like against TCU, gets that 3 and out, really good stuff. But then is where the difference was. Right? Like, what is Carolina going to do now? And funny enough, looking back, if I understood what they were saying on the broadcast correctly, and I need to go back and look at this as well, Carolina never scored an opening drive touchdown the entirety of the 2024 season, and they've done it in each of the first 2 games of this season. That's a big turnaround. Now, that does not a full game make, because as Stanford Steve and Scott Van Pelt always say, they signed up for 60, right? You got to play not just the first drive and the first defensive drive. You got to do the whole thing. Well, Carolina gets the ball back, gets a really nice field goal from Reese Verhoff. Great to see him boot that through on the road. Some slippery conditions. Really nice stuff there. And then they stopped Charlotte again. But here was where stuff got questionable for me with the play calling from Freddie Kitchens. At this point, it's 10-0. Carolina gets the ball back about halfway through the first quarter, and you've got an opportunity now to pour it on. Carolina gets a 4th and 1 at the Charlotte 43. So they're across midfield. I like it. On 3rd and 1, you had a Davion Goss, Bullet Goss rush up the middle, no gain. And then on 4th and 1, Gio Lopez is in shotgun. And I don't know, what the first option was in the tree route, but he goes deep for Javarius Green down the sideline. And like down to it was like the Charlotte 12 or something like that. And you guys, why? Why is that the play call there? You have a chance to pour it on. You have a chance to put this team away, keep this defense on the field, and get them down 17-0, a score in each of your first 3 drives. The play calling felt backwards to me. What I would rather see you do, if you know you're going to go for it on 4th down, take the bomb, take your shot on 3rd down, and then get your run on 4th down, but not with Gio Lopez in the shotgun. You've got a mobile quarterback. You've got a whole stable of running backs we're about to talk about in just a second. So why are we bombing away on 4th and 1? Yeah, I mean, if you score, sure. But what if who Goss was on the field, at least on 3rd down. I can't remember who the running back was on 4th down. But give Goss the opportunity to pick up that yard you need, keep the Charlotte defense on the field, and just keep driving. And it doesn't make sense, because that's what Carolina then did the rest of the game, essentially. So that play call in particular, at that point in the game where you have a chance to really put them in a 3-score hole out of the gate, You did not need that type of attack right there. I thought that was a miss by the Tar Heels on that one. Next, we've talked about what a Belichickian win this was, the way they grounded out in the second half, all of that kind of stuff. Another thing that was very true to form for a Bill Belichick team was the amount of running backs in the game. I've often compared it to I've played fantasy football for a long time, and just a mantra of mine is never draft a Patriots running back if Bill Belichick is the coach. Why? Because on any given day, it could be any given running back based on what the other team has, right? If they're really good at stopping little scat back guys, we're going to put, a bigger back in and just let them bowl you over. Whatever the situation calls for, Bill Belichick doesn't care about who the star is or who was the highest fantasy football running back. It's like, you're just going to see them all, and we're going to see what happens. Why? Because again, Bill Belichick cares more about winning than he does helping your fantasy football team. And so, true to form, 5 different running backs saw action in the first half of this game. I mean, that's what Bill Belichick is going to do over and over and over again. I mean, it's crazy stuff. And so you look at the totality of it. Demon June led the way, 9 rushes for 52 yards. Gio actually tied him with the second most attempts, 9 for 44. Did Gio get sacked any? I can't remember, and I'm not looking at the right part of the box score here. Sacks. Looks like there was 2. Anyway, whatever. So Davion Gauss, 5 rushes for 30 yards. Caleb Hood, 5 for 15. Charleston French had 1 for 3 yards. Ben Hall had 3 rushes, but then they all got in on the receiving game too. Caleb Hood had 3 receptions for 14 yards. Ben Hall had 2 receptions for 10. Charleston French had 1, and June had 1. So I mean, they're all out there doing it. That's another hallmark of a Bill Belichick team. He's going to find your weak spot and he's going to attack you there. That's what's going to happen. Now, one of the things we talked about was Carolina was able to not have any turnovers in this game like they did on Monday night, and that's great. There were a couple costly penalties, but at the end of the day, not too many, 5 for 55 yards in totality. There was a costly one, ironically enough, by Caleb Cost on the other side of a field from a play. I think it was 3rd down, gave Charlotte that automatic first down. There was a silly pre-snap penalty as Carolina was getting ready to punt, a couple other things like that, but ultimately not a big deal. There was that 12-man on the field situation, and Carolina got an interception out of it, but that obviously didn't count. But it kind of felt like in a moment where Charlotte had gotten a little bit of momentum, and Bill Belichick is for, like, sometimes he'll take penalties to hurt the other team. So I wondered, like, is he taking this maybe to slow him down a little bit, stop the momentum that was going? We've just seen him play some mind games like that, and I wouldn't put it past him in this moment. A couple other things, and then we'll take another break, and then we'll get to your comments and questions, because I know you guys have a lot over there. It's coming like crazy, all the comments and observations and takes there. One thing to watch is Chris Culliver was the dominant receiver in this game for North Carolina. Unfortunately, it looked like what happened was he was tackled after a catch, and the defender drove down into him and drove his shoulder. You know how we try to protect quarterbacks from just like on a sack, laying your weight on them and really getting into the shoulder. I thought that kind of action was exactly what happened to Chris Culliver in the second quarter. Was unable to come out after the half. So that 3 for 74 and a touchdown was all in the first half. And obviously the biggest chunk of that was the 51 yards on the 3rd play from scrimmage. Good grief. But he was the biggest one. We haven't seen a ton out of Jordan Shipp in this game. He had a rushing attempt as well, but it's nice that other guys are raising up, and you like to see that. And so we'll continue to monitor that, see what happens. Green has had some nice moments in both of the games so far. And so interesting to check out. Now, on the Charlotte side of things, they really hurt themselves in this game. Just some missed opportunities. There was the missed chip field goal doink that they had. Oh, I love a good doink off the uprights. There was that play. I think it was on the drive that was aided by that Caleb Cost penalty I was just talking about, where it was fourth down. This was in the, was it in the second half? Where it was the turnover on downs, and really like Connor Harrell escaped, had a good ball, and the receiver like basically on his belly in the end zone and just couldn't catch it. And so Carolina kind of caught a break there. Thad Dixon just couldn't catch back up to it. But again, Thad Dixon continues to really impress. But the biggest issue for Charlotte was they had so many issues with exchange between Connor Harrell and the center. And I know eventually their center went out, but these things were happening before that. There were at least 3 times where Connor Harrell just had to go fall on a ball. One of those I thought was a ball. It was a little bit of a low snap, but he should have caught it. There was the one that Kamori House almost caught. At least 4 of those center quarterback exchange issues in this game for Charlotte. And like, hey, we'll take it. Thank you. But that's not necessarily Carolina doing that. And so you're just kind of the beneficiary of a moment like that. So there you go. Nice win for the Tar Heels, 20-3. Again, was everything ironed out? Did Carolina answer every question we had? No. But they were tighter. They did more of the fundamental things you need to do. And again, no turnovers. So you just keep taking strides and moving forward. You get to host Richmond next week. Should be another opportunity for a win and a game in which you can work on things and work on different personnel groupings and lots of stuff with that. So I do want to get to your comments. Lots of great stuff over there. I want to see what you guys have to say, answer your questions. We'll do all that to wrap up the show coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive, and that's what makes Mazda stand out. They'll go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. Mazda offers more than safety. As of August 2025, it's won more 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anybody else. As an athlete focuses on every detail, Mazda does the same. From metallic accents to hand-stitched Nappa leather, you can feel it the moment you get behind the wheel. The smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. Whether it's a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes even everyday drives feel special. It's the small details that make the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Okie dokie. Let's get to your comments over here on the side. Let's see. We got Melinda. Hi, Melinda. Always good to see you. Melinda asks, do you think we tried to score more, or is Belichick a win guy, quote, win guy, with no concerns for the score? That's exactly right, Melinda. And that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Bill Belichick is win at all costs. And if that means you're not stopping us on the ground and you're not doing anything on offense, cool. And so were they trying not to score? No, but they're not going out and bombing. And so everyone's saying like, oh man, we can't, our offense. And it's look, a couple things. Here's something else I didn't say earlier. Do you think they're going to show the nation everything in their arsenal, everything in their playbook against Charlotte in a game that they've got in hand? Absolutely not. You know why? Because you've got this game in hand, and what matters more? UCF in a couple weeks. What matters even more than that? Clemson and every other ACC game that follows after that, those other 7 ACC games. And so you're not going to show your hand. You're not going to give them anything more. Why? Because you never do that anyway. And it's Bill Belichick. He is diabolical. Yes, he is a win guy with no concern for score. If it's 20-19 or 8,554,722 to 2, that's fine with him as well. And that's what he wants to see. Great question from Melinda. Next up, this comes from, actually, I was almost going to say it's from Jessica, but it looks like it's actually from Jack. This is from Jack Castrodale. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Oh, man, this is sweet. Jack says, I'm on my grandma's iPad watching this at 13 years old. Jack, my man, what's up? I hope you're living 13 years old well. What grade would that be? Like 7th, 8th grade? Jack, hope you're doing well. Hope your school year's off to a good start. Jack says, I love the podcast. Why do you think Max Johnson didn't come in during the garbage time possession? That's a great question, Jack. As we talked about earlier, Connor Harrell did not play the last 2 possessions for Charlotte. And sometimes you wonder, is it because Charlotte's calling off the dogs to get Loftus in, or was Harrell a little bit banged up? What's the questioning there? And ultimately, I think there's some balance there, because a lot of times if the team that's losing calls off the dogs, you then call off the dogs. For example, in basketball, if you're beating a team and it's kind of close, maybe like 8 to 10 points with a minute or 2 left, and the coach sends in the bench guys, then you're going to do that too. You're going to answer in kind. And so Jack, think it's one of 2 things. Number one, Coach Belichick thought, like, this game is not completely over. Belichick is a guy that's like, until there are 000s, nothing's off the table, right? Anything could happen. And so there's that side of it. And I think he might wanted to have sent a message like, Gio is our guy. And so I understand that. I'm with you, Jack. I thought we would have seen Max Johnson tonight in this game. I'm curious to see if Max will get an opportunity against Richmond, or if it's like, no, Gio, we got to figure this out. We got to get this cemented and get this offense together. So I'm very curious to know fully, and I'm sure Coach Belichick will be asked this question, Jack. And so I love that you're asking it as well. It's very intuitive, man. I love that you're here with us late on a Saturday night, man. I hope you had a great weekend. Good stuff. All right, let's keep looking around at other questions and comments for you from you guys. Excuse me. Tom Atkins, I'm with you, Tom. So we talked about all the various running backs that were in this game, and he says Demon June was impressive. His burst is crazy. Yeah, look, for each running back getting opportunities in this game, June had at least 3 just big, massive bursts. The one that sticks out the most was it 3rd and 14 on the drive on Carolina's last field goal. And it was like, obvious passing down, but it's Bill Belichick, right? So he calls this run and June picks it up, or very close to it. I can't remember for sure. Carolina didn't end up punching it in, but they got 3 out of that. And I feel like there was another driver. We had like back-to-back big chunk runs. What was his biggest? Let's look here back at the box score. Long was 19 for June. We can look at the big plays as well, and it will probably show us there. Big plays for Carolina rushing. June had a 16, a 19, and an 11. And so, man, great stuff there from June. The other big plays on the ground where Gio had an 11 and the Goss touchdown run. Man, good to see Davion get in there and get that. So, yeah, I mean, good grief. Again, Carolina, they were saying it on the broadcast if you're listening. It feels like the running back room has the deepest stable right now. I don't know that we fully yet know what you've got with all your receivers. Some of that's going to say depend on Chris Culliver's, how long he's out and all of that. And so we'll keep seeing. But it's Bill Belichick. He's going to continue to split his carries among the guys. It's not just going to be June the whole way. And so there is that. I am curious to see, you guys, and some people, there's a lot of comments about Freddie Kitchens. I'm curious to see. I haven't loved all the play calling in the first 2 weeks. I've talked about it after both games. I'm curious to see as things unfold. I'm good with the play calling in the second half because Carolina is just trying to hold down a team that can't get out of its own way in Charlotte. And so why put yourself in a position where you're trying to throw balls that might get picked off or anything? So I don't want to look at that. But we'll keep looking at what happens. Mark Schrader, what's up? Mark says, good win, but not as convincing as I'd hoped. Yeah, I think some of that is, had you scored, had you done what I thought you should have done on that third drive of the game, you probably keep pouring it on and Charlotte gets down a little bit, the air goes out of the stadium and all of those kind of things. But, whatever. It is what it is with that. Would like to see at home next week. Let's get Bill Belichick's first home win against Richmond. And can we blow the doors off that thing, right? Like that's what we're watching for. But again, let's remember this is an FBS school, and there is what it is with that. Let's see if there's any other comments we want to make sure to catch here. Luvy's Fat Life. What's up, Luvy's? Always good to see you hopping in. And says Ship was almost non-existent. And did our tight ends have a catch? We need to spread it around. Didn't need to do too much in the passing game. 155 yards from Gio tonight. And looking back, receiving, you had Culliver, you had Green, so 2 receivers, Hood, running back, Ship, receiver, Hall, running back. You had Taylor, receiver, Johnson. Is Johnson he's listed as a slot, right? And so no tight end receptions in this game, Luvies. And so that's something you obviously Bill Belichick can get his tight ends in and going, but sometimes in a game like this, they're going to end up blocking a lot more as you're trying to move the ball on the ground. And so that's part of it as well. Okay, guys, that's great stuff. I know there's probably more to get to, and if so, I will do so on Monday's show as we continue to unpack the win at Charlotte. Hey, let's remember, this is a true road game at an American school at Charlotte, right? And so that's a big deal, right? Like to go on the road, not to a Power 4 school, man, good stuff there. All right, guys, we'll be back at it on Monday. We'll look back at this some more. We'll look ahead. We'll have our weekend whip around from everything else. Women's soccer blanking Alabama on Thursday, 4-0. Great stuff there, as well as other places. So if you have not subscribed to the show on YouTube, make sure you do that now so you don't miss a second. If you've not done so on audio, same thing there. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord family, we'd love to see you in there. That link's in the show notes. Absolutely free to be a part of. And if you want to go deeper with the show, Locked On Tar Heels Insiders, lots of great perks there, including being able to chat one-on-one with me. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. First win of the Belichick era. Love to see it. We'll get back to it this week. Have a great rest of your weekend. But until next time, peace.